Hey y'all, this is Nikki G and welcome to Better Commander. In the grim darkness of the far future, we have $60 Commander decks. Warhammer 40k I used to play once a week and it was a great time. Just a bunch of really good dudes getting together at the game shop. It was nice. For some reason, Warhammer attracted some really intelligent folks. There were nuclear engineers that I played with, military guys, a bunch of smart guys. Anyway, the Imperium of Man was not a shining beacon of hope. It was a dark, oppressive regime that fed people with psychic potential to the half-dead God Emperor, 1,000 a day, which seems a bit excessive if you ask me. There was a lot of conscription into the Imperial Guard. The strong boys were taken from their homeworld to be genetically altered into emotionless giants who swing chainsaws around and fire automatic missile launchers. Reminds me of Philadelphia in the 2020s. Just kidding. Go Eagles. Let's get into the commanders for this deck, but first, smash a power fist right into the like button, grind your chainsword into the subscribe button, and leave a comment to appease the Omnisaya. First up, we have Inquisitor Greyfax, 1 blue and a black for a legendary creature. It's a human Inquisitor, 3/3 with vigilance. Unquestionable wisdom. Other creatures you control get +1/+0 and have vigilance. Also has Hunt for Heresy, 1 and tap. Tap target creature an opponent controls, investigate. This is a great anthem, has a nice control element with its second ability. Clue tokens, while not as good as treasure tokens, are great late game to refill your hand. Then we have Marneus Calgar, sounds like a hockey player. 2 white, blue, and a black for a legendary creature, Astartes Warrior. It's a 3/5 with double strike. Has Master Tactician. Whenever 1 or more tokens enter the battlefield under your control, draw a card. Also has Chapter Master. 6 generic mana. Create 2/2 white Astartes Warrior creature tokens with vigilance. This guy is one of the best token commanders I've ever seen. Look at that art too. I like that he's out there representing the bald dudes. Not too much to say here. He's got the payoff and the ability right on the card, so we're creating tokens and we're drowning in value. I'm going to go with Marneus Calgar, and as such, this deck needs quite an overhaul. It would be easy to just overhaul the whole deck, but if you buy a Precon, you want to keep some of the flavor at least, so let's talk about some of the newer cards. Inquisitorial Rosette, 2 generic mana for an artifact equipment. Has Inquisition Agents. Whenever equipped creature attacks, create a 2/2 white Astartes Warrior creature token with vigilance that's attacking. Then attacking creatures gain menace until the end of turn. It has equipped 3. This deck aims to pump out a lot of tokens, but they don't have a ton of evasion, so giving us a token and giving our creatures menace is a good way to do both. We got the Arcoflagellant. It's 2 and a black for a creature human. It's a 3/1 with squad 2. So I'll read the ability as this is the first time we're seeing it. As an additional cost to cast this spell, you may pay 2 any number of times. When this creature enters the battlefield, create that many tokens that are copies of it. Arcoflagellant can't block. It has Enduring. Pay 3 life. Gains indestructible until the end of turn. This is probably one of the lower tier squad cards, but if you're going to charge naked into battle with no hands, I guess I should temper my expectations. These guys have all the technology of the 41st millennium at their disposal, and they think, oh, I'll cut off my hands, I'll put like a short whip on there. Oh, that's a great idea, Jim. Assault Intercessor, 1 white and a black for a creature, Astartes Warrior. It's a 3/2 with first strike and menace. It has Chain Sword. Whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, that player loses 2 life. This is a good card, probably better in a deck that can fully utilize that effect. I think it's got interesting implications for other commander decks like Teysa Karlov. We have a ton of removal in this deck, so. Then we have Commissar Severina Rain, 1 white and a black for a legendary creature, human soldier. It's a 2/2, leading from the front. Whenever Commissar Severina Rain attacks, each opponent loses X life, where X is the number of other attacking creatures. Also has Summary Execution too. Sacrifice another creature, you gain 2 life and draw a card. It's a great little life drain effect in a token deck. I wouldn't attack with her until we're ready to do a ton of damage. This is also a really good card. Commissars are like morale officers, but they can execute soldiers on the battlefield for cowardice or insubordination. I'm going to recommend Gaunt's Ghosts here. It's a great set of books. Sicarian Infiltrator, 2 and a blue for an artifact creature, human soldier. It's a 1/2 with flash, has squad 2, and has Benediction of the Omnisaya. When Sicarian Infiltrator enters the battlefield, draw a card. This is a better squad creature and really just functions to refill your hand late game. And we have Defenders of Humanity, X2 and a white for an enchantment. When it enters the battlefield, create X/2/2 white Astartes Warrior creature tokens with vigilance. It also has X2 and a white, exile it, create X/2/2 white Astartes Warrior creature tokens with vigilance. Activate only if you control no creatures and only during your turn. This is kind of an escalating, repeatable token producer that's pretty efficient. I like it for Marneus Calgar. Company Commander, 2 white and a black for a creature. It's a human soldier 2/4. Has command section. When it enters the battlefield, create a number of 1/1 white soldier creature tokens equal to the number of opponents you have. It also has Bring It Down. What is this, like a rap song or something? Whenever Company Commander attacks, creatures you control gain Death Touch until the end of turn. Again, giving our creatures Death Touch is good, especially when our commander has Double Strike. Plus this creates tokens. Really good card in this deck. And we have Epistolary Librarian. It has Veil of Time. Whenever it attacks, you may cast a spell with mana value X or less from your hand without paying its mana cost, where X is the number of attacking creatures. As far as I can tell, this ignores timing restrictions, which makes it pretty powerful in a go-wide deck. We have Naam Shai Marad. It's 2 white and black for a legendary creature. Human Rogue, it's a 3/3. Has Rogue Trader. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, you may have that player return target permanent card from their graveyard to their hand. If you do, that player chooses a permanent card in your graveyard, then you put it onto the battlefield under your control. I like this card, but it has 0 evasion and has the opponent choose stuff, but whatever, it's a dumb fun card. You can trade the damage in exchange for them getting a card back from the yard. I mean, you don't have to go into a blind, you can just make a deal. You got Space Marine Devastator. These are the heavy weapons sections of any Space Marine squad. It's 3 and a white for a creature, Astartes Warrior, 3/3 with squad 2. Has Grav Cannon. When it enters the battlefield, destroy up to 1 target artifact or enchantment. Great ETB on a squad creature. Can't ask for anything more than that. This is better the later into the game it is, and you can just start hammering stuff. Ultramarines Honor Guard, very similar card. 3 and a white for a creature, Astartes Warrior. It's a 2/2 with squad 2. Other creatures you control get +1/+1. It's kind of a mediocre Anthem effect until you have 8 mana, then it's a really dangerous triple Anthem effect. Vanguard Suppressor, creature, Astartes Warrior, it's a 3/2 with squad 2, it has flying, has suppressing fire. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. Another good evasive squad creature. Then we have the Vexillus Praetor. It's 3 and a white for a creature, a Custodes Warrior, 3/4 with flash and vigilance. Aegis of the Emperor. Commanders you control have protection from everything. This type of creature is way better the more your commander costs and the more integral it is to your strategy. In this deck, this is very good. We want Calgar to stick around for that sweet value, and we want him swinging in for that double strike damage. Then you got the Zephyrim, 3 and a white for a creature. It's a human warrior, 3/3 with squad 2. Also has flying and vigilance. Also has miracle for 1 and a white. This can be really great if we miracle it, or kind of okay if we just kind of hardcast it. Deny the Witch. Counter target spell, activated ability, or triggered ability. Its controller loses life equal to the number of creatures you control. This is great in a token deck, but very expensive. 4 mana is a lot to hold up. There are a fair amount of flash creatures in this deck, so holding up mana late game might be a good idea anyway. I guess I'll give it a try, see how it looks. The Golden Throne, 4 generic mana for a legendary artifact, has arcane life support. If you would lose the game, instead exile the Golden Throne and your life total becomes 1. And it has 1,000 souls die every day. Tap, sacrifice a creature at 3 mana in any combination of colors. This is a great sack outlet. I'm always on the lookout for those. The fact that it taps prevents most combo shenanigans. I love the flavor, I love the art. Art is beautiful. This is what this set is all about. Celestine, the Living Saint. I have an aunt named Celestine. 4 and a white for a legendary creature. It's a human warrior, 3/4 with flying and lifelink. Has Healing Tears. At the beginning of your end step, return target creature card with mana value X or less from your graveyard to the battlefield, where X is the amount of life you gain this turn. This is a great card in a life gain deck. It's pretty awesome. Would be a great build around as well. Life gain, sacrifice, all kinds of fun stuff. Then you got your Primaris Eliminator, 4 and a black for a creature, Astartes Warrior. It's a 3/2 cream of the crop. When it enters the battlefield, choose 1. Executioner round, destroy target creature, or Hyperfang round. Creatures target player controls get -2/-2 until the end of turn. This is a very versatile kill spell. Out there sniping. I love this. Hoses most token decks, or you can just take down somebody's commander or whatever the big baddie is. Sister of Silence. I think I saw her at the dance club I used to work at. 4 and a blue for a creature. It's a human knight, 3/3 with flash. Has Psychic Abomination. Yep, definitely saw her at the club I used to work at. When Sister of Silence enters the battlefield, counter target instant spell, sorcery spell, activated ability, or triggered ability. This is a really weird, costly, yet very versatile card. I like it, but it costs quite a bit. Holding up 5 mana is a bit much to ask. And we got the Knight Paladin. It's 5 generic mana for an artifact vehicle. It's 6/6 with trample. Has rapid fire battle cannon. When it enters the battlefield, it deals 4 damage to each opponent. Has crew 1. I like that it has trample. It ETBs. It shreds damage everywhere. This is a pretty solid vehicle. We have Birth of the Imperium, 2 white, blue, and a black for an enchantment saga. Chapter 1. Create a 2/2 white Astartes Warrior creature token with vigilance for each opponent you have. Chapter 2, each opponent sacrifices a creature. In Chapter 3, draw 2 cards for each opponent who controls fewer creatures than you. This is great in a token deck, although things can go horribly awry in 3 turns, who knows. You may end up with no card draw after a board wipe, but that's okay, because it feeds Marneus Calgar and the ceiling on this is quite high. Calidus Assassin and Sister Hospitalier are 2 big swingy cards that are fair at 6 mana. Both of these are just dripping with flavor. The Calidus Assassin was one of my favorite models. I used to make custom models of that one, and this effect can be really nasty. And that Sister, she's going to bring you back to life whether or not you want to come back to life. Thunderhawk Gunship, 6 generic mana for an artifact vehicle. It's a 6/6 with flying. When it enters the battlefield, create 2 2/2 white Astartes warrior creature tokens with vigilance. When it attacks, attacking creatures you control gain flying until the end of turn as crew for 2. This is a great enabler for combat damage in this deck. Give everybody flying is great. Can easily be crewed with one of our tokens. I love this card. Reaver Titan is 7 generic mana for an artifact vehicle. It's a 10/10 with void shields, protection for mana value 3 or less. That's pretty cool for removal sake. Gatling Blaster, when it attacks it deals 5 damage to each opponent, it has crew 4. Look at this beast, but this beast has no trample. It can be chunked by a 1/1 bird, dang it. The 5 damage is nice, but I don't know how to feel about this guy. But I took a bunch of stuff out, but what are we putting in the deck? First things first, I replaced 5 of the tap lands and put in budget lands that at least have a decent chance of coming in on tap. I'm not going to go through everyone. Well, we want tokens. Otherwise, Marneus Calgar just sits there looking pretty bald man that he is. We got Forsworn Paladin. It's 1 in a black for a creature, human knight. It's a 1/1 with menace. Has 1 in black, tap it, pay 1 life, create a treasure token. That's all we need. Has 2 in black, target creature gets +2/+0 until the end of turn. Mana from a treasure was spent to cast this ability. It also gains Death Touch until end of turn. This guy is deceptively okay. He ramps us early, generates tokens when Marneus is out there banging. Speaking of treasures, Grim Hireling is awesome and we have lots of evasive creatures. Marneus has double strike, so if he's getting through we can double up on the tokens. This thing's only about $2 right now. Malcolm, Keen-Eyed Navigator. This guy makes treasures, he flies, that's it. That's all I gotta say about him. Jadar is quickly turning into a staple of token decks because this guy can make a token every turn. He's a dope little guy, he's gonna make tokens and we're gonna draw cards off of Marneus Calgar. Dear Kraken, this is a great token generator we can use to refill our hand. Draw a card, make a token, pay 1, draw a card, make a token, then we can sack all the tokens. Idol of Oblivion, 2 generic mana for an artifact, has tap, draw card. Activate only if you created a token this turn, has some other ability I'm not going to read. So what we want to do with this, we want to make tokens, draw cards. Resolute Reinforcements, this has flash, so we can do something if we're holding up mana for one of our counters but don't need to counter anything. Mimic Vat makes tokens. We have a ton of removal in this deck. It also screws up graveyard strategies. If our friends across the table are trying to sacrifice things to recur them later, we're going to put it under Mimic Vat and just blow up their whole plan. Rootborn Defenses can help us dodge a board wipe and populate plays nice with our token theme. The whole thing about establishing this huge board state is you want to include at least a couple protection pieces. Teferi's Protection is always the one you want to go to because that's the best one. However, Rootborn Defenses will do in a budget pinch. I also added Odric. We're going to be attacking, so we may as well have a way to manipulate blockers. Achroma's Will is such a swingy card. This card's $9 right now. It's most of the budget of this upgrade. But this is really great, especially if we're attacking with a ton of tokens. This is such a monster card for 4 mana value. And that's it, $30 and this deck really hums. It sets up a solid value engine, makes a big chunk of humans to grind up on the wheel of Imperial progress. Lots of interesting cards that are going to be a lot of fun to use. Let me know what you think about this stuff. Are you buying this deck? Are you buying singles? You can just buy singles. Don't forget it's America. It's going to be Nikki G from Better Commander, signing off.